Good day. Today, I'd like to talk about what I think is an interesting new way of looking at the whole idea of oxalate dumping as related to the carnivore way of eating. Usually, oxalate dumping is looked upon as a very negative experience or set of experiences, which it may well be. But maybe it should be looked at in a more positive light. Because, in fact, in terms of one's health, oxalate dumping may be the way home. First of all, let's get a little bit into what oxalate dumping is and why it occurs. As many of you may already know who are familiar with the carnivore way of eating, oxalates, which are derivatives of oxalic acid, a small little molecule that is found only in plants, is basically something that is absorbed on eating plants into the human body. And basically, being slightly larger than the size of a water molecule, can be absorbed, diffuse, osmose, and pretty much go anywhere inside the human body. It can coagulate and form crystals, which are called oxalate crystals, basically in any human organ system. Although historically, the medical media seems to only focus on the fact that oxalates output into the kidneys in the form of oxalate stones. But think about it logically. If it's coming out of your kidneys, it's literally everywhere in your body. This molecule is so small that it can easily diffuse into any tissue, out of any vessel, out of any capillary, into any organ system. This oxalic acid molecule is not considered normal to the human body. It is considered a pathogen of sorts. It's not recognized in the human body as being something normal. It's considered a pathogen. Different kinds of immune responses are automatically occurring to all these oxalates at a microcellular level, at a cellular level, as the crystals form, at a more physiological or pathological level or macroscopic level in the human body. Sometimes you can see stones forming in the thyroid and all different organs. And around these micromolecules or macromolecules, the body launches a defense protective mechanism in the form of inflammatory cells infiltrating the area, trying to encapsulate these different sized molecules, forming what's known as granulomas, which are collections of fibrous tissue protecting the normal, healthy tissue from these crystals. And these crystals, I believe, are the originator of all kinds of inflammatory conditions, such as arthritis in the joints, muscle pains, all kinds of metabolic problems, because oxalates combine with calcium, therefore causing havoc with our electrolytes, um, and a whole myriad of other problems. So what is oxalate dumping exactly? Oxalate dumping occurs when somebody goes basically strictly carnivore, and the body now registers that no more oxalate is coming into the system. So in essence, the human body determines that it is now safe to start removing all the oxalates from the system, which are not a natural occurrence to the body. So suddenly all these oxalates that were previously encapsulated or being held hostage, so to speak, by the inflammatory processes of the body are now released, most often into the bloodstream in bulk. And this can create all kinds of symptomatologies depending on where the oxalates are released. For example, they can be released into the intestine. This creates a massive efflux of fluids and diarrhea in the intestinal region. They can be released into the skin, resulting in all kinds of weird skin conditions. And just to show you some example, these are results of oxalate dumping on the skin. Can come out of your eyes. So you get a lot of people report itchy eyes or oxalate crystals, which feel like small grains of sand coming out of your skin. And obviously can come out of your urine. And if you look at your urine, it usually has a slightly murky shading, which is indicative of the oxalate crystals that are coming out in the urine. The problem with oxalate dumping is if it happens to the extreme, it can create electrolyte imbalances, even to the point, according to various expert researchers, such as Sally K. Norton in the field of oxalates, where she says it can actually cause a deficiency of calcium, a deficiency of potassium. And these kind of electrolyte imbalances in the extreme forms can actually lead to arrhythmias and ultimately death if not handled correctly. She, in particular, recommends lemon juice, which I don't personally, but you can use equivalents such as citric acid, according to Professor Bart Kay. You can use potassium citrate if you're trying to clear stuff out of your kidneys in terms of oxalate stones. You can use calcium citrate if you're trying to get oxalates dumping more smoothly out of the intestine, specifically the large intestine. Because what happens with calcium citrate is it allows the oxalate to bind to the calcium and therefore cannot be reabsorbed back into the intestine and therefore is extruded from the body during a defecation. That's the kind of the scary thing about oxalates is even if you excrete it into your gastrointestinal tract, because the molecule is so small, unless it combines with something such as calcium, this oxalic acid molecule can rediffuse back into the body. So that's why I say the fact that you're actually getting oxalate dumping in some shape or form is actually a positive, because it means finally this molecule, which is, in my opinion, kind of hard to remove from the body, is finally getting removed. Sally K. Norton, as I mentioned before, is a big proponent of, when going carnivore, of doing it gradually. I would also follow Susan Owens of the Trilo Oxalate group on Facebook. She was the premier researcher and identifier of oxalates as a cause of all kinds of problems across the board, starting off with even autism in children has been linked to this oxalate toxicity. Sally K. Norton got introduced to the concept through the Valvadinia Foundation, which found that oxalates were critical in resulting in a lot of vulvar dysfunctional problems and pain, vulvodynia, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. And one thing about oxalates, just so you are aware, according to Sally K. Norton, is that it loves to infiltrate glands, which are any type of gland in the body, such as the apocrine glands, the sweat glands in the arms, under the arms, the salivary glands get infiltrated with oxalates, the glands of the eyes, the prostate gland in males is infiltrated with oxalates. There may be a lot of causes of a lot of prostatitis problems that occur in men. So any way we can get rid of these oxalates, I think, is a positive. And going carnivore is the ultimate way, because that's the only way that we can start this efflux of these oxalic acid molecules out of the human body. So that's why I say oxalate dumping may be the way to a better, healthier, and more enjoyable life moving forward. I hope this video was helpful in some shape or form. Once again, thank you for listening.